a bit of an adaptation there. I think anyone's legend willing to kind of take what IG took in game one is interesting enough to me. I feel like the Ezreal does answer pretty well though with some of that safety, but as well as the poke comp. So I want to look to IG now and see if they do opt into that kind of style of composition. Maybe the Corki comes through, things like that.
Well, IG saying, look, we're happy to go with the scaling element of it. We're going to go for the Ezreal. I will say, though, the Senna has a pretty good time into the Ezreal. It is something that can get a little bit out of hand, you know, if you're going up against it, so you have to be very careful of that. And Shun going to pick up the Viego. Viego still having massive presence in the LPL and really just kind of highlighting how much priority people put on this pick, because it is, I think, right up until very recently, had like a 96, 98%, you know, setup, or even presence, I should say. So this guy has just become the champion, I suppose, of this particular meta. Now that Wukong is banned all the time.
Well, you know what they say. It's every trail has some puddles, and that one was full of puddles in that game one. But I do like to see anyone's legend actually pulling out something different in game two, especially something that can stack up to the late game prowess that could be possible in the second game if we can get to that point. Seraphine coming in.
I like this from the side of anyone's legend. We talked about the Tam Kench, how it is very, very, very strong, but it does fall off a little bit if you end up going super late game. I like the Seraphine here because it does give you that little bit more of late game scaling. It gives you, of course, that AP option as well. It will have a little bit of a struggle, though, going up against the very heavy poke and damage coming out from the Bard and the Ezreal so early on. But anyone's legend, they're going to try something different. And honestly, having that extra engage as well with the Encore, or the, excuse me, with the ultimate from Seraphine, I've completely forgotten what it's called. But it is going to be a better time for them, I feel, with this draft.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have the Bard, though, which I think can always throw a wrench into the works in the LPL, especially with the Tempered Fate setups and things like that.
Oh, it is the Encore. What's her passive called? I can't remember what her passive called. Oh, it's stage presence. Interesting.
We have the power of Google.
Wait, why? Hang on. Hang on. Why is her passive stage presence when it's like?
Because it's like
it literally says her third ability will echo. It says it will echo, whereas her, like, as in do it again, and then her or, which is just, you know, thing. I don't know.
You know,
Riot naming department, get it sorted.
Oh my God.
get on. Hey, I've said this to them. I've said this to the development team. I was like, why have I have said this to their faces? I was like, why is the naming department and like the development team not on the same page when it comes to
You know what? Like, that development team's gonna welcome you just as much as a rattlesnake is welcomed at a square dance. All right?
A lot of snakes in Texas.
Yeah, apparently, there are. Actually.
Yeah, allegedly,
there's a
lot of snakes.
There are. I will account for that wholeheartedly.
But we'll come back now that we've had our little bit of a rant.
No snakes in this draft here.
No snakes in this one. No Cassiopeias as of yet. But the Ahri locked in here. To the side of IG, they banned away the LeBlanc Lissandra. It makes perfect sense that they would want to go for that. You can see already for the side of anyone's legend, they banned away the Fiora, the Galio. They're looking for those big kind of impact those big side lane impactors to try to take away off the board. Now, anyone's legend, they might be trying to get ZDZ onto the Camille. You can just pick the Jax into this and have a semi-decent time. So they're fairly confident in ZDZ's position right now. And especially when you ban away the Galio yourself, feels a bit weird to pick the Camille.
I would really like the Talia for anyone's legend here, but I do wonder if they go for something a little bit more mobile in the mid lane. I would actually like the TF as well to set up with the rest of the team and the Zhao that the Camille likes, but with the Ahri coming through, I think it's going to be difficult to have that same effect. So the Swain comes through.
Yeah, and the Swain is something that's been around, but hasn't seen probably as much presence as people probably wanted it to, or maybe expected it to. It has been a little bit more subdued, shall we say, so far this split. I think we have a quick look at the stats now at the moment, but it isn't, you know, I think it has like a 44% presence, picked 20 times, banned 18, so has had a decent run, but not as dominant as anyone thinks it is, but of course has a massive spike when you hit those two items, of course, with the Imperial Mandate and the Rylad's Crystal Scepter. It gives you so much survivability and just, you know, constant chase down of different picks. And for IG, they're going to go with what, you know, like I just said, you know, the Camille into the Jax. The Jax is going to have a much better time once you start getting those, you know, those levels up into your Counter-Strike and your Leap Strike as well, to be able to try and just trade constantly.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's looking at execution. I got a text saying this one's actually going to wrap into actual knowledge and actual wisdom. We got a text saying here for you, because for anyone's legend, There never was a horse that couldn't be rode. There never was a rider that couldn't be throwed. You got to ride that horse. You can't get thrown off. You got to stick to the execution. All right? You got to stick to the execution.
Know when to hold 'em.
Know when to fold 'em.
'em.
Know when to walk away. Know when to run.
Know when to run.
But anyone's legend don't need to run away from this one. They need to run at this one. They need to attack forward with this composition, but especially still playing to their strengths, right? Still playing to the Senna. Still trying to find a little bit of that late game prowess, but I think the early game meant a lot for IG, and this time it will mean a lot as we circle back to the focus of these junglers, and especially looking back to that early aggression that Xiaohao was putting down. I wonder how this time on the opposite side, Shun is able to kind of respond to that or have some of his own.
Yeah. Again, you know, we saw how the early gaming went with the side of AL, and Xiaohao was able to kind of put that pressure down onto Shun. It wasn't really for a lot. He got a red buff here and there, but didn't really get any kills or any major advantages. But it was very much a setup of this. I know what you're gonna say.
You do. I can't stop it. I can't. Thank you, Betty. Thank you. Thank you. I know you're not doing it for me, but the Western skin, the high noon Senna, riding away into the sunset. But, you know, as we saw a horse on the screen, you know, as they say, and for anyone's legend, if you're riding ahead of the herd, take a look back every now and then to make sure it's still there with you. So everybody's got to be a part of the team here for anyone's legend.
Got to be part of the team. You also got to be part of there's TPs if you want to be a part of this. There are 3 TPs on either side. Yeah, there is a lot.
Who said TPs were no longer a meta right now? Who said they needed Unleashed TP?
I think as long as TP is in the game, it will be incredibly meta as we get to have a zoom in.
I think that's the new skin.
The Seraphine.
That's the sea song something. I don't remember.
Yeah, buy the skin. Look at it and buy it.
Buy
That's
it.
what we want to say. Sorry. Yeah, buy it. That's basically what that is. It's like, quick, zoom in on that. Let people see it and buy it. It's like, all right.
And you know what they say? When in doubt, let your horse figure it out.
Is that a saying?
It's one of the ones I got on my list.
Yeah. Where do you get this? Is this did you vet this? Did you go out to like Texans? And
No,
be like, hey,
I'm Texan.
I know you are Texan, but like,
if you've ever baled hay, worked with horses, done anything with livestock, I feel like you have the right to talk a little bit Texan. And I feel like I've checked all those off my list.
Do I? I used to work. Well, I still do sort of. I used to work with horse racing.
Nice.
In the horse box areas. Yeah, those horses are terrifying sometimes.
Yeah, I would
giant
absolutely
dogs.
say so. Yes.
They're like giant dogs. They get really excited, and there's just not a lot. You have to be very careful because it's about half a ton of an animal just coming at you.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. But anyway, we'll come back in. We'll talk about the game, and we'll see that again, not really a huge amount in terms of breaking of expectations. Both junglers are going to be happy to kind of bring themselves in. You will have a slightly faster clear, as you can see from the Viego, but the Zhao will have a little bit of a skirmishing time should he be able to meet him in the jungle somewhere. So right now it's just going to be about how you can get these waves to crash, what their backs are going to be, and honestly where you can get those big advantages on either side. Really, you're going to be looking to try and maybe go for in the mid lane / top half of the map really for IG with the charm and of course the stun route coming out from the Viego. You're going to have a lot of like single target lockdown. And for anyone's legend, honestly, I feel like you're going to want to try and move around, try to get Xiaohao to get in the faces of some of these solo laners, maybe even bot lane, because you just have a lot of setup.
The thing is, though, is I feel like there's a lot of matching potential. And you see Shun, I was asking for it. I was saying, where are we going to see the aggression? He got manhandled by Xiaohao early on in the last game. They still came out with a win. He doesn't get this one, unfortunately. His aggression is not the same as the early aggression of Xiaohao, but I still like to see it.
Yeah, I mean, again, just recognizing he had push in mid, push in
going
top.
back.
Gonna go back. Yeah, I mean, they can, because at the end of the day,
the scanner.
Xiaohao doesn't know he's here.
The scanner ran out. But he kind of knew. He knew something was up. He was running up towards his tower, at least.
Think he caught the trail end of the mist and recognized that he probably was in a bad position here, as we can see now.
He really wants that grab.
Does he see him? I don't think he does. Interesting. Just on the side of the wall, doesn't get caught out there. Forge, though, might be a little bit down. This is exactly what I was talking about, though. The single target CC. Ooh. Good flash from Forge.
Yeah, nice little flash. See if they return to mid lane. Punish Forge a little bit more. You see the fluidity doesn't stop for Shin. He's going down towards bottom lane this time. And you have a little bit of a push for Betty and Chocho, so maybe some punishment could come out that way. But again, we said last game, right? Senna, any lane with Senna is hard to tackle, is hard to take down early on.
Yeah, again, just so much safety with the healing and the shielding you get from the Senna and the Seraphine. It just makes it so much more difficult, and of course the invisibility. That's why Betty, again, doesn't want to get caught out, so he picks up the very early Swifty boots and says, look, I'm just going to try and be a nuisance, keep myself safe, nothing else really untoward about that. And Zika comes back into lane with a Sheen, so didn't actually use his TP in this in the last recall, so we'll have that available to him should he take a bad trade, but he is not taking a bad trade at all. He is, in fact, running ZDZ out of this lane.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's something super difficult to deal with. I think side lane is going to mean a lot more for both teams than it did single-handedly for IG in last game, because anyone's Legend have adapted their draft to have an answer to that, right? To have something that they can actually contest with. And I think Camille will be something to watch as the game goes on. But right now it's centered around jungle pressure, mid and bot, and trying to see where Xiaohao, where Shun can really get activated on the map here. And we have our first dragon on the Rift. We did see a little bit of early dragons from IG last time around, but I expect a little bit of a more reserved pace this time, even if last time it was a bit slow.
I was about to say, we got first blood at like, what, 14 minutes?
They
in
got
the last
the dragons.
Game? Yeah, well, they got the dragons, it's true. We'll see maybe the junglers coming up towards this top side. It is level 5 to level 4, though. Xiaohao does not want this fight. It's a kind of a 1v1 in 2 different places. Zika does get kind of engaged upon as we can now see them moving forward onto this. There's the Empire Visions coming out. They flash in, flash out. Xiaohao gets himself away, and Anyone's Legend pick up first blood.
He was crazy enough to eat the devil with horns on. Oh my goodness. That was incredible. That's my analysis.
I like how I like the way the sayings get more less and less coherent as you go on. It's like you go from oh, I can see how that works. I understand how that one makes sense. And then it's just like, what? Like, what are you
want a real good one? No, let's take a look at this replay first, because it will be first blood going over. And I think it was a bit of a split situation here, but the communication seems to be just at least the timing a little bit off here.
Yeah, honestly, it just feels like ZDZ just had ult diff right there. It was the level 6 hit there. He had the push in the wave, so just having that Hextech ultimatum to be able to jump on top of Zika so he could not help out his jungler made all the difference. They took isolated 1v1s. So this, to me, is just a good kind of recognition from the side of Anyone's Legend to say, look, as long as we get that level 6 from the Camille, we will be stronger, and we can just take these kind of separated 1v1s.
Yeah, I do wonder where we get that. The at least something from IG, where we saw the early aggression from Shun there with that pathing style, but you're looking a bit of pressure on bot lane now. You've gotten a kill over to ZDZ, so he'll have pressure in top lane now to some extent, at least building towards it. And so my eyes have to stick on Shun and say, where are you getting your team out of this situation?
Again, we got to look at this guy and say, where are you going to be able to do this? But we talked about it at the start of the day. The junglers are the key pivotal picks for both of these teams. If Xiaohao, like we've just seen, is able to get an early advantage for either of his laners and make Shun's life difficult, that's where the game gets a little bit different for the side of IG. And you can see Zika needs to go back, sitting on a fair bit of gold. Really wanted to crash that wave, and sadly for him, we'll have to take a little bit of an unfortunate timing here, as the wave will probably be just kept a little bit away from him. So not going to get the full crash, but that does mean that IG feel comfortable and confident to be able to go for this dragon. They know there's no TPs to come down, and that's going to be first dragon of the game over to IG. Now,
you know what they say in Texas. Tossing your rope before building a loop. Don't catch the calf, all right? IG going to need to catch the calf now. Xiaohao going for the Rift Herald. I don't think that's a calf. I don't know. I'm trying, man.
That one I get. That one I get.
I'm trying to pepper them, man. I'm trying to pepper a bit.
I appreciate you. You know, I
appreciate
how
about this one? A wink's as good as a nod to a blind mule. How about that? I don't know. That one doesn't have anything. I've been trying to tie them into the game. That one has absolutely nothing to do with the game. Xiaohao does take the Rift Herald, though.
I mean, I think it's to be with someone who's like, I don't know, ignorant or I don't know, man. It's hard. It's hard to know which
I don't know what half these things mean. I'm just saying because they're fun to say.
They are very fun to say.
You know, they say, remember that silence is sometimes the best answer. And I think we can all take that into account.
That one's good. I like that one. But, and yeah, Again, there's not really much else to talk about here. The Dragon's been taken. The Rift Herald has been taken as well. That was secured on the side of anyone's legend. Both teams are just going to be kind of ping-ponging waves for a while. There's no real kill threat onto bot lane. There's no real reason you're going to be able to catch out Forge now that he has his flashback. So it's a bit of a lull state, and it's a bit of a time where we need to take advice from our Korean brothers and cousins over in the LCK. And
Nope.
Sean
Yeah, that's all you got to do. You got to
Sean.
talk about it. That's all you got to do. It's like saying the name 3 times in the mirror.
Yes, exactly. And oh, there's the Hextech Ultimatum, follows the Heartbreaker. Speaking of which, ZDZ breaks Shun's heart here. And we can see now Zika trying to see if he can get a leap strike over the wall. Yuekai can't really do a lot to help him. The flash in with the roots going to be solid to get him down there. But that's a fantastic tempered fade. Catches out
he
too.
missed it.
There's going to be Demonic Ascension coming back in though, and Zika has no escape. And we talked about a perfect game for IG in game 1. This is looking very good for anyone's legend in game 2.
I'm going to tell IG, don't squat with your spurs on. Every good cowboy knows that. They done squatted with the spurs on, and they got killed.
Got killed. You're going to lose a lot off this tower as well, so got to be very careful here as the side of IG. This is an interesting setup they've got themselves, but if you fall behind as the Jax and the Viego, there's not really a lot of kill pressure available to you. And again, this is just really good timing from Xiaohao to recognize that, look, he's already used his root. There's no way he can actually out-trade me now, and we can just fully commit. And the Hextech Ultimatum follows him over the wall. That truly is a heartbreak.
That it really is. I like your use of wording there, but it's really unfortunate for IG, and it's really crazy that we're feeling like we're going to get the same style game as last time around. Unfortunate for AL, though. They do have a little bit of trouble at first with the fight, and I think that's something you can look at. But at this point, with the lead, with the advantage they've gotten, IG have a lot of ground to make up for, I would feel.
Yeah, and this is a kind of a difficult situation now for IG. They find themselves in the reverse, but this time it's actually a lot more of an acceleration. 2,000 gold. The Rift Herald is actually still available for the side of Xiaohao.
I got you here. I got some more Texas wisdom here. All right, we're gonna get nitty gritty with it.
I love the twinge. The twinge in the voice is what gets
me. If you get thrown from a horse, you have to go ahead and get up and get back on it. Unless you landed on a cactus, then you have to roll around and scream in pain. I don't know which one fits to this situation, but you know.
That is a long saying.
It is a very long saying. But it applies to the situation.
Really work.
Do you feel like IG can get up and get back on the horse, or do you feel like they landed on a cactus and the game is over? I guess that's the biggest question.
I mean, honestly, the scaling available to anyone's legend with this Camille in the side lane, of course, Forge now already having his Imperial Mandate. With the Senna as well, just going to have an absolutely, whale of a time as such, as ZDZ just tries to keep this wave as relevant as he possibly can. And this is hard for IG. They need to be proactive. They need to be moving Yuekai around the map, trying to see if they can maybe make something work in a different lane. But like, speaking of a different lane, we talked about the Seraphine and the Senna. The Senna already has 56 stacks, and it's getting to a point where the Senna will become very, very obnoxious, very hard to control. As the Rift Herald does get spawned in the mid lane. I think that was because it was just about the timeout. Or sorry, the top lane, not the mid lane.
Yeah, it was just about the timeout.
XinLiu.
They are on their way up to defend against the stuff.
XinLiu!
Nice! It does get there in
well
time.
Done. You don't pick Bard for anything except to counter Rift Herald.
Don't go in if you don't know the way out. Another piece of Texas wisdom right there. All right. But in actuality, I do think being able to take little things like this for IG is good, because in all actuality, right there, they're pretty far behind this early on. It's nothing like what we were seeing last game, where AL were having a lot more trouble at this point. But I think IG is okay to this extent, right? I still would like to see a little bit more proactivity. You're seeing that not really happen at this point, and probably not going to happen for a little while. But Shun has completed his Divine Sunderer now.
Yeah, got the Divine Sunderer. The only issue is that with this Dragon spawning and him only just coming out of base, means he's going to have to forfeit that, so they're not really going to have an opportunity to use that power spike, especially with the Effen's Reaver onto Wink, so not exactly ideal timing for the side of IG. Anyone's legend, though, they'll be very gracious and happy to be able to take that trade. And with 14 minutes now on the clock, you're looking at about 2,500 gold lead, 4 kills to none, a Dragon apiece. It is a Hex Rift, so the mobility is going to be very relevant now for both of these squads, and we are starting to see I honestly, it's starting to feel like this Senna is becoming a little bit more of an issue for all these teams, because it feels like you just cannot walk forward and deal with these, you know, you can't deal with this bot lane. You can't be proactive in this bot lane, so you have to just kind of let it scale, which is not what you want it to do.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we didn't actually see it banned in the second game with how good it looked in game number 1. But I guess the answer here from IG was that we can deal with it. We feel confident in the fact that we can deal with this Senna in the bot lane, but so far ain't working out their favor. I'll say that right now, and especially now seeing everyone, at least from AL, gather around and especially get this vision game going. You feel like the control is still going to stay in anyone's Legend's hand. XinLiu is looking for something.
He's looking for something, but I don't know if he wants it, because Magical Journey going to be used there just very quickly to keep everyone there. Ooh, needs to be very careful.
Oh.
Flashes away. The Magical Journey is still there. They're still chasing onto him. They will land the Cosmic Binding, but I don't think he's going to be able to get away from this one. Betty will pick up that kill, and this is starting to look like the exact same setup as game 1, but it's anyone's Legend picking up all the pieces.
If we get another game where they have 0 kills, I'm going to have to... I don't know. I don't know if Texan Saiyans are going to be enough. I don't know if I have enough.
I don't think Texas are going to be able to hold it.
I don't think Texas will be able to hold it. I don't know. Wink, you ain't able to hold it, though. You're deader than a doornail.
QiuQiu. Oh, that was a great prediction, though, with the root. They even land the encore. QiuQiu takes that kill for himself. Oh, my Lord. This is starting to get a bit... This is just getting a little bit... Again, just a little bit desperate, a little bit sad. On the other side is anyone's Legend kind of saying, all right, we took it in game 1. Now you're going to take it in game 2. It's
actually kind of crazy to me to see the way that this is going and how one-sided it's just becoming. And at this point, I will say, though, Zika on the side lane will be a lot scarier than we saw last game at any point for anyone's Legend. But it's still, it feels a lot like last game where the control is already there for anyone's Legend, and IG are struggling to find a way to deal with this composition.
No way.
That's so unfortunate.
HP. 30 HP. That is a whisper of a win from falling down in that mid lane, and that is unfortunate.
You know what they say? Don't worry about biting off more than you can chew. Your mouth is probably a whole lot bigger than you think. I don't know what that means.
You don't have eyes bigger than your stomach. That's the big issue there, as we can see Xiaohao maybe thinking about it. Zika not willing to go for that fight just yet, but he doesn't know that Betty is here, and they're going to fully commit to this fight. You can see the wind becomes lightning, does slow him down
Betty's
just a little
just
bit,
everywhere.
but they just back themselves away. Betty, yeah, honestly, I wanted to see Yuekai roaming around. He finally takes that tier 1 turret, but it is just going to be again, just a slow, methodical victory for anyone's Legend. If IG just don't find any, issues, and honestly, bot lane is fine, but it's the Swain. How are you going to kill him?
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult. Looks like they kind of want to try, though. You can get maybe a good tempered fade on the tower and then dive at the right moment. There's something there, but top tower does go down. Anyone's Legend continue to grow their gold lead. They're sending even more bodies down here, man.
I mean, yeah, they are, but I don't know if they're going to be able to make this one work. They're going to see the TP come in straight away. The Malefic Visions doing so much to just dissuade. And again, you put 4 people bot side and gained a TP, but there's 3 on the side of anyone's Legends.
All I'm saying is in Texas, we've developed our sayings pretty well, all right? And one thing that we all stick
I'm starting to believe that that's not true.
You know what's always going to be true is you don't corner something meaner than you. How easy is that? And that Swain was a little bit mean. How you like that one, Asheen? Was that okay?
That was good. You know what, man? You're doing great. Do not let anyone.
I hope all the colors like this, and I hope they know that this is what has come to this.
Out of context, it just sounds like you're making a reference to like purple and blue and green. I hope you all appreciate the Texas yeehaws, but
all the colors.
Yeah, all the colors of the rainbow. It's relevant as well. It's Pride Month.
It is.
Happy Pride to anyone and everyone. But what was it? Yeah, so 3 seconds until the dragon spawns.
Oh,
we're gonna see a full engage coming
He's
down
all
here.
head, no
tries to get back
cattle.
over. He's got no cattle. He's got no life. He's back to the gray screen. Wink is dead. Double kill coming in for Xiaohao. ZDZ thought about coming in with the TP, but he was too little too late. Didn't matter anyway. And this is a little Oh, this is getting tougher and tougher. It's 4,000 gold. They're going to take this mid turret, get themselves their second Drake. Anyone's Legend kind of, again, giving themselves... It's kind of a slugfest. You take one haymaker, and then you give one right back.
You got to always remember that timing has a lot to do with the outcome of a rain dance. And right now, the rains are falling, and it's all anyone's Legend.
Have a look at the replay here, and again, it's just you're fronting up so far up, but you don't really have a position to be able to fight this as IG. I just don't get why you're going so aggressive when you don't have the resources.
Yeah, they're getting stuck in the same situation that AL were last game. They just want to keep fighting, even if it means going into the dirt. You know what I said last game? I was like, you know, if you find yourself digging a deep hole, stop digging. Well, you know, both these teams have not taken that to heart. They just keep digging, all right? They keep digging. And it's like the movie Holes.
Might see XinLiu is here. Might see them go for a Tempered Fate move as basically everyone on the bot side of this map. You have 4 members. We saw how they tried to make this one work last time. Don't think it's going to work again this time for the side of IG. And yeah, again, it's the lack of proactivity. It's the waiting for things to happen. It allows the Senna to get up to nearly a 2-item Senna with no farm. It's a 200 CS 2-item Seraphine. This is a 2-item Swain. We talked about the massive power spike of the Imperial mandate alongside the Rylan's Crystal Scepter. You just can't let this happen. Your scaling doesn't allow you to do this because you just can't fight. And again, we're in another situation where you don't really have any engage. This last time it was anyone's Legend. This time it's IG. They don't have any engage to start a fight.
Yeah, it's
outside of an incredible Tempered Fate, that's about it.
Yeah, that's what I think we've seen be like the only answer at this point, and it's just not the answer. It's, you know, it's the one everybody thinks it is. It's the one your professor thinks is C, but it's not. It's not the right one. And I think you have to be thankful for the opportunities that you get, but IG have not really found any at this point. And now Zika is surrounded. Hopefully he can play this one out. He does use the little blast cone and get away, but anyone's Legend just, at this point, it's the same question we had for IG last time. How do you turn this into a victory? What do you do to cross the T's, dot the I's, to prove that you deserve to be that diamond in the rough, that you deserve to have some wins under your belt?
I mean, for IG, it just feels like you need to make a decision. You need to commit to a play. I feel like it's got to be at the next Dragon at 2.5 minutes. I feel like that's your moment. That's your time to shine. You got 2-item spike now onto Winx Ezreal, so Essence Reaver with a fully upgraded Muramana. You're going to be very close, if not complete, a second item here for Zika. That's, I feel like, you're going to be your opportunity, your only real opportunity, because after that, you're going to be looking at 2-3 items onto the Swain, 2.5, 3 items onto the Seraphine. Like, that's where this game just becomes impossible, because even if you do get a little bit of poke down with this Ezreal, you have a Seraphine and a Senna, they're going to heal it up.
Yeah, and the amount of engage, the amount of times we've seen the Encore be so clutch to force IG into unfavorable positions, it's actually incredible. And you have the double stacking aspect of Forge and Betty. It's just looking like a straight and narrow path at this point for anyone's Legend.
Yeah, it's just going to be hard. It's just going to be very, very hard. And this is going to be IG just trying to gain control over their own base, gain control over their own system. But, you know, keeping Zika in a side lane is probably the right call for the moment. That's not going to work forever, though. You still have a Camille that will be able to kind of match them, and you can see already now ZDZ roaming down towards that bot side to make sure they know what's going to be happening. But for anyone's Legend right now, they're going to try and see if they can catch somebody out. And right now, this 3-man squad, they can 1-3-1 very comfortably because IG kind of have to answer them as 4 or nothing at all.
Yeah, exactly. It's finding the side lane here for Zika is still something we highlighted at the beginning, but at this point, like, you have to be there with the team if they force a fight. Because the lead is so bad that you need to make sure you're in favor. That was really close. Make sure you're in favorable position for these fights, because that's like, it feels like the only way into this, but at that point it's not really a way into this because Zika doesn't have the priority or the pressure inside lane.
He does not. A minute till Dragon spawns. This is exactly what I said. IG will want to be trying to fight at this. They want to try and contest this. If you let anyone's Legend go to Soul Point, I feel like it's going to be too little too late. We'll see. The scuttle secured there by Xiaohao. You won't have the Encore just yet, but it will be up in about 50 seconds. So not too far after the Dragon has spawned, we should see that Summoner come, or the ultimate come back up and available. Mid-wave control does go in favor of Anyone's Legend for now, and you see how hard it is for the side of IG to actually gain control, to actually make it work. Xiaohao forcing Zika to jump over, and a lot of your gauge is going to come from this Jax. A lot of your kind of pressure is going to come from him.
And at this point, Anyone's Legend are saying them to IG, when I'm done with you, there won't be enough left of you to snore. There you go.
I didn't know snore was a.
I didn't know you needed
verb.
a part of you to snore. I didn't know you had like. What's the percentage there? I don't like. I want to know.
Yeah.
But Dragon is being taken. This is sole point for Anyone's Legend. Still,
you can't
0
fight.
kills.
Yeah, you can't fight as IG. You just haven't got an engage, like I talked about, unless you get in a God tier Tempered Fate, which I just feel like Anyone's Legend are just not going to allow. This is just going to be not very good. And yeah, Anyone's Legends are just trying to suffocate them out, and they're doing very well at that. They're 4,000 gold up, or a little bit shy of it. They don't really need to force any fights because they have the scaling, they have the dragon stacking for themselves. They also have the team fight.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Anyone's Legend, they're grinning like a weasel in a hen house at this point. It ain't too shabby to be a weasel in a hen house, especially if you're hungry. But Anyone's Legend, you know, they're pandas, so maybe a little bit different than that. But it's been a very strong start, at least in this game for them, and I think it's a big thing for them to bounce back from that first game, right? And hand IG a similar game that IG handed them. It means something.
It's almost identical.
Like. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost identical. We'll see Zika go for the trade in bot side. He is still a Jax into a Camille, so still doing very well on his own and be able to put down a lot of pressure to ZDZ's Camille, but outside of that, IG, you got to try and hope for a miracle. You got to hope for a mistake is probably the better way to put it. You got to hope that Anyone's Legend just put a foot wrong, you get a kill, you get a pick, but, you know, you've got two people on the bot side trying to see if you can kill this Camille. You haven't been able to get a full push in mid lane. While that's been happening, Betty and Xiaohao are going to be able to try and start this off with QiuQiu. You don't really have an option to kind of go for this. You have to try and maybe delay it as best you can. The True Shot Barrage comes back, but this is going to be difficult. I think IG, they need to make a decision.
And IG's chances here is popular as a wet dog at a parlor social. I don't know if they can do anything here, Oisin.
Here we go. We're going to see them go in. They're going to land the never move. And oh, the root from QiuQiu as well. Wink deleted. There's 2 kills. They now find Shun off the back end of this one as well, who just knocks back Xiaohao. ZDZ looking for more of a fight, and this is just all she wrote. Nothing else to be done. Baron goes over. 10 kills to none. Anyone's Legend return in the favor of game 1.
That is incredible. Just in terms of being able to take map control now, it's about what they do with this Baron, right? You got about 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Another 2.5 minutes for the Dragon Soul for Anyone's Legend. So at this point, you could expect them to push up mid lane, push up one of these lanes, get one of these in-hits cracked open so they can actually proceed to taking the rest of the control. We'll look at that play, though, one more time.
This is just really good setup. Zika gets rooted up, so he can't join in the fight. It's too late by the time he gets the CC out of him. They've already jumped onto Wink. They killed him off. So, yeah, this is IG looking like they ain't going to get a single
all I'm saying,
kill. They got a
saying,
tower. They got a tower.
All I'm saying, Oisin, if you climb in the saddle, you better be ready to ride. And you see Betty pick up the high noon skin. He's ready to ride. He's cowboy lifestyling it up to date. He no longer the 50-foot Betty. There you go. That's what I got.
There you go. 9 kill participation. Excuse me. 8 assists, 1 kill. So he's almost 100%. And
not as
honestly,
good as Wink. Just saying, 100% last game.
100%. He's still technically 100% this game.
Oh yeah, I guess man. I ain't too. We don't do math in Texas, all right? I don't know about you Irish folk.
Yeah, it's definitely rough. I think this game is going to be going, or this series is going to be going to a game 3 unless IG can randomly find an opportunity which is gifted to them from the side of Anyone's Legend. But Anyone's Legend doing pretty much as safe as they possibly can. As I say that, we will see Demonic Ascension coming out here for Forge. He tries to sustain himself up. The reset
got
will
a
come
kill.
in now for Yuekai and Viego. We're going to see the Never Move come out as he steals away all the different things. But that's an encore to land on the 3. Can they turn this one back around? But Betty's already dead. They will kill off Wink and Xiaohao will die down. IG still got a little bit of fight in them. Still got a little bit of movement. IG finding themselves potentially a full ace as they look for Chocho. He won't be stunned up just yet, but he has no flash. He has no way to go. He's going to end up turned around back towards the enemy base, and it ends up being 5 kills to 1, an ace.
And you know, I was saying, if you climb in a saddle, you better be ready to ride. And Betty was
right,
ready to ride.
right.
But hold on. I'm going somewhere with this one. But if you haven't fallen off a horse, then you haven't been riding long enough. And AL just took a plump fall off their horse. IG are crazy.
Well, this is huge actually for IG. I talked about having them, the only real way they can get back into this is they get gifted something, and they are getting gifted. Look at this right now. Forge, this is so disrespectful. You have no vision, no support. There is just no reason for you to be walking that way.
Yeah, it's a really rough catch out there. The Tempered Fate flash out of as well from IG. That didn't get the cooldown down, forcing anyone's legend into this fight, and it was a very split fight from anyone's legend in the first place, right? You had ZDZ and Zika playing on the side there. If they joined the team, maybe things turn out a little bit different, but that split is what gave IG their advantage.
Yeah, and this is a big moment now for anyone's legend. They're already 1-0 down in the series. They need to win this game. It was looking like an assured thing, but you haven't got the soul now because you lost that fight. You haven't got an opportunity to really kind of, solidify that lead. It's only a 3,000 gold lead, and you still have opportunities. I will say for IG, that was probably the perfect opportunity for them to take a fight because it was separated. Whoa.
Still got to watch out for that gold differential, though.
Yeah, XinLiu going to try and run away from Shun, who tries to get the Heartbreaker over the wall. Shall not be done. But this is, again, what I'm trying to say is that, yes, anyone's legend did kind of throw that fight. IG do have a given a dog a bone, but it is still very difficult for IG to get anything to go for them because they've no engage. They've no hard way of starting a fight. They need those separated engages.
Yeah, it's really rough now that they've grouped up back after those resets, after finishing a few key items here, and now they're looking at the inhib to try and get even more pressure around the map. You do have DDC pushing mid as well, but AL want to move forward. Actually, a little bit close for where there.
Yuekai shows him with the Spirit Rush. Needs to immediately Spirit Rush out, and
ZDZ's trying to match the path for Zika.
I mean, they're trying to go for it, but this is going to be difficult for the side of IG to really defend themselves, or Zika is off to the side. But again, I don't really think you're going to be able to find something unless they're completely separated, which they are a little bit for the moment, but they quickly regroup. They quickly see where they are going to end up being caught, and they back themselves up.
5-man back. Hopefully get a little bit of synchronicity going there with the Seraphine. Looks like they're not all synchronized. There's some shame in that.
Almost.
Hey, we saw the synchronicity of the Hex Tech gates earlier on. But, hey, anyone's legend not doing too shabby in this game.
No, not at all. And again, this is the thing. Yes, it's a little bit of a throw. Doesn't really make a huge difference to the thing. It just delays that Dragon Soul for 2.5 minutes. I will say you are starting to get to massive items of Rabadon's Death Cap for Yuekai. You have got the Chemtech Chainsword here for Zika. So in the side lane, he's basically going to be uncontested compared to ZDZ on the Camille. But it is just harder and harder for IG. They need to try and hope again that anyone's legend just decide to go for a weird path thing, get separated, kill someone off before they can really go for that big 5v5.
Don't let your yearnings go ahead of your earnings. All right, that's my wisdom for AL at this point.
Oh, AL. Merc Treads, though, onto Forge means that it's not going to be as easy for them to catch on to this. They need to be careful right now. You can see AL, they're respecting it a little bit because they don't have a TP on ZDZ, and they're going to see a full fight. The Dawning Shadow right down at the start of this fight means that XinLiu does not get any benefit whatsoever. There's going to be Zika going golden to try and maybe make something work, but they're going to be able to try and jump on the backside of this. Nothing they can do. Jax goes down. The GA here for Shun, as he does fall as well. It was all a matter of time. Anyone's legend, it was a little bit rocky, a little bit off of the beaten path, but at the end of the day, the result is still the same, and we should be going to a game 3. Even we can see now ZDZ saying, I can take all 2 of you, but I cannot because there's a Zanya's, and that's going to stop me from killing anyone.
Yeah, it's a slow and steady finish for anyone's legend. A little bit different than the way IG finished off game number 1, but still is in dominant fashion. It's not nearly the no-kill game, but you still see a lot of the strength we wanted to see from Xiaohao that he presented in game number 1, and now he gets the full-fledged carry in game 2.
Yeah, and again, this is such a huge series for both of these teams. Both of them very much at the very similar stage or a very similar level in terms of gameplay, and both fighting for playoffs. So 1-1, pretty much what we expected coming out. The very, very even. I honestly believe you got to be banning Senna now on red side. I don't think you can be letting that one through. That has to be a ban for you now. And for either side, I imagine IG will go back to blue now, but this is now becoming a power pick. This is now becoming first pick worthy. We're seeing just how good it can be.
Or just ban it. Don't, like, the sustain that you're getting, the flexibility in the picks that you can bring to the bot lane is an entire different organism that you have to deal with in this series particular, because it has been so dominant. That's why I was so surprised that it came through for a second game, and that IG were willing to say, we might have an answer for this. Well, they obviously did not.
No, they did not. And again, this is I talked about it a little bit in draft as well. Like, the Ezreal does not have a great time into the Senna, which means that you're just getting the Senna to those item breakpoints, to those soul miss stacks, a lot quicker than you normally would. It's a lot easier for them to kind of do it. And again, the losing team, be it AL in game 1 and of course IG in game 2, no engage, no hard setup for them to really go for something. And this is the issue that we're seeing a lot of LPLs kind of struggle with the current patch, is that the enchanters are very, very powerful for the moment, absolutely. But when LPL teams rely so heavily on supports being their engage, their primary engage, that when you take that away, it really, really shows to be a bit of an issue when you're trying to get into a fight.
Yeah, exactly. I think you can see the steady progression, some dips in that gold graph there that AL definitely didn't want to have and go against them, but it's still a holistic approach from Anyone's Legend. A different one than we saw in game number 1, and I think it's the adaptation we needed to see from them, but that means that the culmination of this series is literally just going to be a bloody boxing match, I expect.
Yeah, again, it's just one haymaker after another. We're seeing, of course, the power of the blue side as well. You get that first pick, you're able to kind of draft around what you want to be as your primary carrier, your primary function as a team. And there was a little bit of a dip there. You can see it just at the, kind of just before the end of the game, where Anyone's Legend almost threw the game back towards towards IG, but it did end up coming back to, you don't have any engage, you don't really have any way of starting a fight, and unless Anyone's Legend did that repeatedly, it was never really going to be a solid win condition for IG.
Yeah, exactly. And I do feel like IG will have a little bit more pride than AL did it from their game 1 performance. There's no zeros along the KDAs and KPs, but that one definitely didn't feel good, especially with the way that they controlled so heavily in game 1. To get smacked down like that in game number 2, it's got to be reeling, right? And I think that they'll have to kind of break down what they want to prioritize in the next game, and especially looking down towards that bottom lane. Do we see that side switch? Do we have to see the Senna ban? Do we see a draft adaptation, at least in the banning phase?
I mean, I think you got to. I think we've seen now, specifically in this series and probably moving forward now for the LPL on this patch, it is just too powerful. It is just too much to deal with, but we'll see what they end up going with. We are going to send it to a quick break, and when we